that often. All right, this house, pretty much, I started outside. I don't have a lot of bad things to talk about, mostly good. The building looks pretty typical for a townhome, built in 2010. Everything that's supposed to be here seems to be here. What I do is based on the conditions that are present while I'm here. So I wasn't able to get up on the roof, but I was able to look at the roof with binoculars, and I was able to get up with my ladder to see closely the roof above the garage and the roof above the front porch. There doesn't seem to be any discrepancies there. Everything seems fine.
Good.
I went into the attic space, and everything up there looks pretty good. Ductwork, insulation, I checked for hurricane strapping and the way that the roof is nailed, and I'll have pictures of all the specs that I have. But there hasn't been any leaking based on what I see in the attic in the past.
Good.
And there certainly isn't any active leaking now. When I went into the master bathroom though, there is what looks like a little stain, ever so slight, on the ceiling to the right of the light. I used a moisture meter. Moisture meter is just nothing more than a continuity meter, and it tells me if something's wet.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can't feel it, and sometimes your eyes see a stain, but you don't know if it's wet or not. So you use this to determine if it's wet or dry. So I used this on that stain, and that stain hasn't leaked recently. I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Because the house has been empty.
It's been empty.
Yeah.
And it could have been, for all we know, during construction. It could have been when they were painting it. Maybe they just didn't get that area well enough. It could be a variety of different things. But our job, we think, for you is to give you an alert for something to pay attention to. I would watch that area over the next few months once you get in to see if it changes or something. Also at that location, the light for that shower is loose. Not just the light fixture, but the wiring or the bulb.
Okay.
Because when it doesn't come on with the switch, and you play with it and it comes on. So that's something that you'll see in your repairs.
Okay.
Other repairs that I have are pretty insignificant on electrical stuff. Like this outlet right here is loose, this box.
Okay.
And there's some loose wiring at the outlet to the right of that back slider. Okay, that's what we call like a punch list item, or repairs that are fairly minor. But important enough because you don't want to be screwing around with the electrical wiring and leaving it loose. Because if something should occur, you'll regret having not fixed it.
Right.
It's just better to have that list up front and go do it. But there wasn't anything in the attic that made me find the loose light, because it's all covered with insulation. So when I was up there, I couldn't tell what was going on. I can only tell when I got down, and the same with the stain. There is no indication of leaking from above, but yet there's a stain there. So when you see these items, just remember we're talking about them, so you know that you have an inactive stain or an unexplained stain, and some loose wiring and outlets in a couple of places. And it's only those three, just that light, this one, and that one.
Okay.
The electrical inspected very well overall as far as the main stuff. The wiring looks good, the main panel looks good. What I like about this townhouse, a lot of townhomes that you may have looked at, you may drive by and see a whole bunch of electrical meters on the side of the building. All those are the shutoff switches for service disconnects for all the units. So that means someone could be all the way on the other side of the building screwing with the power, and your number is right there, and they can shut you off on accident. Here, your main panel is right on your way up to the front door on your right side. You have your own individual main panel. Okay? A lot of people throw like a little combination lock on the box just to prevent people from going in. So you're pretty protected.
Yeah.
All right? And that's a big benefit.
I'm videoing this, so you don't necessarily
have to write it.
I mean, you can.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I think that the first thing I probably should share with you about the electric is that your main shutoff is that panel on the outside garage wall. Okay, and they gave you a good amount of power. You have 150 amp service. They give that to single family homes. Back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, I mean, all you saw was 100 amp, 125. So you got a decent amount of power. If you wanted to put some kind of a jacuzzi tub in the back, you can.
Okay.
Just to let you know. So you got a good amount of power. The sub panel looks really good. I take the covers off all the time, and I do an infrared scan just to make sure nothing's overheating that I can't visually see.
Okay.
The wires look good, and then those tests concluded that everything seems fine.
Great.
All right, so the electrical looks really good. The plumbing, same thing. You have I have like a minor leak at the left side master bathroom sink. Underneath there, after the trap in the waistline, there's a coupling. At that coupling, there's a little bit of debris. All that tells me is that when you use that regularly, that probably will start to drip ever so slowly. So when you see it, it's not like this massive leak. It's just they got to tighten that, clean it up, tighten it up.
Okay,
Okay, it's really easy to do, but we don't want you putting all your stuff under there and forgetting about it.
okay,
And it will be documented
left
in your
side.
report.
okay,
You won't have to remember anything.
okay.
So when we talk about punch list repairs, that's another one of those. There wasn't anything else with plumbing that I really had to talk to you about. Everything checked out really well. Air condition is where we have to have someone come in and look at the unit just for service. The reason I say that is I have condensation draining at the outside, which is great. You can see it draining when the unit's running. Both units are cooling and heating. Everything is doing what it's supposed to. It's just when I took the cover off for the intake where the filter is, underneath there's a box, and from the coils on top of that, there's a lot of condensation dripping on that box. So I didn't even need a meter for that because it's actually wet to the touch.
Yeah,
What'll happen, and you'll find this in a townhome, most common thing we find is that if it's left unattended, will probably stain wherever it is above here. Because that water eventually will go through and stain the ceiling. Okay, so we want to catch it now
sure,
so that you don't have to worry about it later.
right.
That's the only thing I have with the air condition. Otherwise, it performed just fine.
Is it above the closets? Where would it be?
Well, it's actually right above this half bathroom.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and you can see, like, if you look, you don't see any staining at all.
Okay,
Everything looks fine. Right, so whatever's happening probably just started to happen because there's no evidence of mold, there's no evidence of discoloration anywhere else.
okay,
So we're catching it very quick.
fantastic.
Okay. Other things that happen in a two-story townhome is the bathrooms. Sometimes when you use them, it takes a while for a leak to show up. And I ran water about maybe 15 minutes per bathroom upstairs, and I didn't have any problems with leaking.
Okay,
Okay, but when you guys use the facilities, try to pay attention down here because I can't duplicate normal living conditions over a
Right.
period of days. So just pay attention to that because that's the most common thing. If something will go wrong with that, it'll be in the first couple of weeks that you see it. And usually it's silly, like you got a clock around a corner somewhere because the water's getting in where you didn't think it was.
Okay.
All right. Overall, I gotta tell you, I mean, the place looks like it's in good condition. You would expect it. It's 5 years old,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but it's laid out real nice and it doesn't look like there's anything to run from here. So
Fantastic.
that's what I have.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Oh, you're welcome.